As we speak, the market is in turmoil. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out should they be dumping all of their coins right now before we go lower. But in today's video, I want to discuss a $100,000 Solana trade that I have just opened. This is something that I'm doing, not something I suggest you guys do. Nothing in my videos is financial advice, but guys, we got to jump into this because every time we have a significant, scary moment in the market, I'm using that moment as an opportunity. My bias is that the cryptocurrency markets are currently in a bull market. I could be wrong. This is just my own research and my own thesis. Please go out and do your own research. Look at this. Solana explodes 40% in volume. This was just over the last couple of days. We also have PayPal with their stablecoin that just reached a $1 billion market capitalization, and PYUSD has a market share of 64% on Solana over Ethereum. The market overall seems to like Solana over Ethereum right now. And like I said, every time we have a scary moment in the market, the Bitcoin's price pulls back, altcoins go a little bit red. Solana seems to bounce back the hardest. Now, I'm not here to tell you that this will definitely happen. I do not know what will happen. But every time this has happened, I've tried to trade it. You can see down here, I actually got a position at 111 Solana. That's when I opened my position. I also opened a bunch of positions here where we had this recent pullback, and I believed that we made a high and then a higher low, which I thought was the start of the next move upwards. We saw a higher high. We saw here a high, a higher low. And then, guys, what we saw here was sadly a lower high. Could also be argued that it's a double top, or it could be argued that this is manipulation and Solana is just following the rest of the market. Bitcoin is having a scary moment right now, and therefore the rest of the market is pulling back. That's exactly what we see every time. So with that knowledge, with the knowledge that every time Solana goes down, there is a massive bounce afterwards, I've taken a trade here today. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to make that a risk-free trade for myself. So I opened this position at a price 143.47. I did alert this in my Patreon this morning, taking along here Solana 143, high risk. I alerted this exactly when I opened the trade. I opened the trade on MARGEX because on MARGEX I can use Solana, as you can see here, I can use Solana as collateral, meaning this trade cost me 11.2 Solana with 50x leverage, opening a position of $100,000. So if Solana goes up 10%, I make $10,000. Solana today was down around 8 or 9% when I opened this trade. Now it's down 6%. If we just go back to where we were yesterday, I will make between $5,000 and $7,000. However, I'm going to do something to make this a risk-free trade. With that said, if you guys do want to trade on MARGEX and use Solana as collateral to trade more Solana, I use this as a method to dollar cost average into some of my favorite altcoins. I do the same with Casper, and MARGEX is one of the only platforms that allows you to use, or I think it is the only platform that allows you to use Casper as collateral to trade Casper with leverage. Now, using that, we can take profits if our trades are profitable and then hold more of our favorite altcoins. That's what I personally do. And if you do use my link down there in the description, you can get a $10,000 deposit bonus. Plus, you can get your share of $500,000 worth of Casper when you sign up using the link. This is up to $5,000 each. So you can get that just by trading on MARGEX. So if you're trading anyway, any altcoin, doesn't matter if it's not Casper, you can get access to that. And we saw a very profitable one of this when we had the BOEM airdrop. With that said, guys, there is also a link to my Patreon down there in the description where you can see when I make a trade. We also have a team of traders sitting in there ready to give you opportunities. Now, one thing I always say here on this channel is don't marry your bags and don't not take profits. Okay, guys, I always stress the importance of taking profits. A lot of people don't understand how important it is to take profits in order to give yourself an unemotional trade, an unemotional look at the market. If I have too much money in the market or I don't take any profits, when the market starts to crash, I don't see it as an opportunity. I see it as pain. I want to get out of my positions as quickly as possible. So I'm about to show you exactly what I do to avoid this emotional pain. All right, you can see here, we have $2,000 in profit. I want to also talk about the fact that I did use 50x leverage for this trade. I don't normally recommend this high leverage, but there is one instance that I do use really high leverage. That's when I want to take essentially a bet that the market is about to flip. This is something I do sometimes, but more often than not, I use between 5 and 10x leverage. 50x is very risky. It means if the market moves 2% in the direction that I do not want it to move, 50%, guys, I will lose the entire position. Okay, so it's very risky. You need to understand the risks. It's better to stick with lower leverage. With that said, we have $2,000 in profit. So let's add a stop loss. All right, this is how we guarantee we make profit, and we also will not lose any money on this trade. So here we see entire position or partial position. I'm going to close a partial position, 50% of this trade, which is $50,000, 50% of the trade at a price close to where we are right now. So most likely this will trigger 136.4. Let's do this. This gives me a return of my investment at about 100%. This will close 50% of my trade and will mean that I am now in a risk-free trade. The second I press confirm, I will be in a risk-free trade. So now we have a stop loss for $50,000 sitting at 146.4, meaning this trade will close 50% at that price and I will close out $1,000. If it doesn't hit that, I will continue to make the upside. But now I have removed my emotions from this trade. And this is what I like to do when I'm taking high risk. Here we go. We just hit the 50,000. So half of this position has now been closed. You can see my profit is now $1,000. Some of you might be saying, well, Conor, you should have put it a little bit lower. You might have just lost your opportunity to make significantly more money. And yes, I did lose my opportunity to make significantly more money, but now I am in a position to sit and relax as my trade is going to always be profitable. I've taken $1,000 profit, and now I'm going to do the next step of this two-step method, and that is going to be put my stop loss at break even. So we can see that we got involved in this position at 143.47. So we're going to add here our stop loss. Now we're going to do the entire position, and what we're going to say is we're going to do zero loss. So zero return on our investment. That would put us at 143.64. You might be saying, hold on a second, that's not where you got in the trade. You got in at 143.47. Yes, this is going to be higher because what's good is if you put return on investment to zero, it's going to account for the trading fees. The trading fees that you use the trading fees and the funding fees that are used to keep this position open. Of course, it costs money to borrow a $100,000 sum, right? They're not just going to give it to you for free. So adding this extra little buffer here, we will lose zero. So once I put an entire stop loss on the entire position and hit confirm, I will now have a stop loss in place for this at break even. I will also guarantee that I cannot lose from this trade. So 143.46 is where my stop loss sits. As you can see, I will continue to make profit if the price goes up, and if the price goes down to my break even, I will be stopped out of this trade at zero loss. So I have now created a zero risk trade. When I got into the trade, it was not zero risk. The highest amount of risk I took was the 11.5 Solana that I put into the trade. One thing to take into consideration is that I used isolated leverage, okay? Isolated meaning when I put something into the trade, whether it's 10 Solana, 1 Solana, I'm only risking exactly that. And that's without a stop loss. I can also put in a stop loss for, let's say, a 50% loss, a 20% loss, a 10% loss, that sort of thing. So that's why I like to use isolated. And now let's discuss where Solana might go. I think Solana is going to do very well. Let's talk about the short term and the long term. So looking at the short term of this, we have our wedge that we've been watching very closely here on the channel. We have found resistance on this wedge 1, 2, 3, a fake out, 4, and now 5 times, okay? As we get smaller, the price consolidates here, and I think we could break this. What I want to see is a clean break of initially around 156, and then the 164 mark. Once we break the 164 and go up like that, this could be an opportunity for another long. Where we are right now could be an opportunity depending on your own research, or if we head back up here, just like yesterday or the day before, was an opportunity for a short. That's up to you guys. Of course, I'm bullish on Solana, so I think in the short term, the first target will be around this 164 mark. I think we should be able to reach there, and we have found resistance 1, 2, 3 times, and it was support before that until we lost it back here. So I think that's going to play again as a very strong resistance. If we can break this, I think that it will be quite plain sailing unless there's a black swan event up to around the 190 mark. That's where a lot of people will be taking profits because they're looking at this region. Now, the high was 209. So I think that is the target that we want to look for here if we are getting in trades on the way up. Watch that very closely. 209 or the $200 mark. Remember, $200 is also a significant psychological level for traders to watch. So in the short term, again, 164, I believe, will be hit very soon if we don't lose our support. Now, I would put the support around 136. On the bearish side, if we lose that region, I think it might be quite easy for us to re-enter this liquidity zone around the 120 all the way down to the 100 mark. Again, if we do that, these trades will be closed in the same manner that I've explained today. Stop losses will be hit, break evens will be hit, but I will open more trades down here. With that said, let's talk about the longer term, some more exciting predictions. So first, let's check the Coin Bureau channel. The last time they mentioned Solana was about a month ago.
The strong demand side of the supply and demand equation is why it's been so resilient. The fact that the trend for these demand drivers continues to be going up suggests that Sol has a higher chance of breaking to the upside. There's a higher chance in the coming weeks of Sol rallying to $300 than crashing to 90.
So you can see they said that when Solana's price was around 150, they expect it's more likely to go to 300. It's also important to note that they don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We can only go on our research and what we think and see in the market. Now, we also have another investor called Raoul Pal. He's very bullish on Solana. He sold, I think, a lot of his Ethereum into Solana. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I seem to remember. But this is a video from the Wealthy Pulse here, and we can see what Raoul Pal had to say.
I think Solana grows massively and closes the gap massively with Ethereum. I think the range for me is, worst case is 800, mid case is like 1200.
Worst case, $800. Mid case, $1,200.
The case in a blow off top would be 2,500. Different.
2,500. At the $1,200 mark, we have on our hands close to a 10x for Solana from the price it sits today. Of course, 147 would be, 1,470, but close to a 10x. Let's call it a 9x from where we sit today. That's a massive market cap. That's actually bigger than the market cap that Ethereum was at the last bull run. Now, my bull case for this bull run, if we go into another parabolic bull run, is that Solana does what Ethereum did in the last bull run. So Ethereum in the last bull run was at a $500 million market cap, 558 to be precise. I think it's possible that Solana does that. It's possible. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I have exposure both in the leverage market and in the spot market for that to happen. So with that said, guys, of course, it's not financial advice. It's just my opinion on the market. If you want more of my opinions, like when I'm opening trades, when I see opportunities in the market, come and join the Patreon. The link is down there. And remember, if you want to, grab yourself this up to $5,000 of a Casper airdrop if you are an advocate and you do like Casper, or if you just want to trade Solana on the leverage market using Solana as collateral, then feel free to use the links down there in the description, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Peace.